Oops. I think. All right. All right. Well, we're off to a rocky start. Okay. Can hide that. And we can get rolling here. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. I've got to get rid of. I've got an echo of some sort happening here. Oh, here it is. Okay. All right. Okay. I think we're good. I think. All right. I apologize for the snafu and starting out here, but I want to say good evening, everybody, and a very warm welcome to everyone. I'm Roy, and you are joining me for the very first live episode of Life After 55 Health, Wealth, and Headlines. Now, if you are looking, or well, I should say, if you're over 50 and you're looking for a way to stay healthy, financially steady, and truly informed without the hype, without the fear mongering, or without the extremes, then you are exactly where you belong tonight. This show exists for one simple reason: life after 55 works differently than it does prior to 55. The old rules just don't apply the way they used to. Whether we're talking about our health, our money, or how we navigate a world that seems to change every single day. So that's why we're here. That's why we've built this show around the three pillars that matter most to us right now. And those three pillars are health, wealth, and the headlines that actually impact our stage of life. So tonight is particularly special because it is our debut in this new live format. And again, I apologize for the snafus that have already happened. I you're gonna have to bear with me. I'm probably gonna need to do one or two of these episodes to get this all down pat. But anyways, my goal is not to overwhelm you with information. It's to provide you with clarity. And here's exactly what we're going to be diving into tonight. So, the show is essentially broken into three segments. And the first one is the health segment. And in that segment tonight, we're going to redefine what being healthy really looks like after 55. We're going to talk about why sustainability matters more than intensity. And I'll share the real reason your energy might be dipping. Then we're going to go into the wealth segment. In the wealth segment, we're identifying the three silent money leaks that could be eroding your financial security without you even noticing. It's not about how much you make, it's about what you keep. And finally, in our headlines segment, we're going to be looking at a trending story about why many older adults are choosing to walk away from the new generation of weight loss drugs despite the benefits. It's going to be a packed show, so let's get started. And stay tuned to the end. There could be some helpful, hopefully, there's some helpful information here for you. All right. So, like I said, the first pillar of this is why energy drops. Or, a phrase I hear almost every day, and maybe you've said it yourself, is I'm not sick. I'm just tired all the time. It's a frustrating kind of tired. Um, it's different than it was 20 years ago. It's not from pulling an all-nighter or a single hard day at the office or on the job site. It's a lot deeper than that. It's more constant. And before we go further, I want to be very clear. This is not laziness. It's not a lack of willpower, and it is certainly not all in your head. After 55, your body is still incredibly capable, but the owner's manual per se, has changed. Um, Energy is no longer something you just push through, it's something you have to manage. And the primary culprit is your mitochondria. Remember, those of you who've been with me for a while, we talked about that in a few episodes back. And sorry, I'm just checking my time here. Um, you know, we talked about these. These are the little power plants that basically give you energy. And you can think of these as, like I said, the tiny power plants inside your cells. And as we age, these power plants don't shut down, but they do become less efficient. Your body is still producing power, but it's working twice as hard to get half the result that you used to get. That's why everyday tasks suddenly feel heavy. Okay, then there's the hormonal roller coaster. Cortisol, insulin, and your thyroid. These are the conductors of your internal orchestra. And after 55, they don't always follow the sheet music. Instead of a steady hum of energy, you get peaks and you get crashes. You're fine at 9 a.m., you hit a brick wall at 2 p.m., and then feel wired but tired when your head hits the pillow at night. And I can certainly relate to that because the same thing happens to me. I get plenty of sleep now, and um, I wake up, I'm fine, and then come 2, 3 o'clock, man, I'm ready to hit to hit the sack for a good nap. And that's kind of why I looked into this. Is like, what's going on here? And, in my case, I'm pretty sure I know the answer. It's like I've said in the past, I have a pretty sedentary lifestyle. So, I need to move more and I've slowly started to, but I'm not moving anywhere near as much as I should. And, it's something that I'm just going to have to start working into a schedule. There's a lot of things that need to change. Because there's, between work and housework and this and that and the other thing, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. We all deal with it. But anyways, the goal here isn't to chase the endless energy of a 25-year-old. I mean, that ship has sailed, let's face it. But the goal is stability. It's about pacing, restorative sleep, and quieting the background noise of low grade inflammation. Um, if there are people here in the chat, and I don't know if there are or not, I can't tell. But even if you're watching this on the replay, let me know in the chat. Does any of this affect you? And if it does, does the wall hit you in the morning or does it hit you in the afternoon? Like, when is your quote unquote danger zone? Okay. Um, so let's move it into segment 2, which is the 3 money leaks. We're gonna, pivot now to the financial side of the house. And here is a truth that surprises people. Most financial stress after 55 isn't caused by a lack of income, it's caused by leaks, small, silent drains that erode your foundation while you're looking the other way. And think about that. This is something my father used to always tell me too. It's the small things that you think don't matter, but they add up. Um, they do. All right. So, what are these leaks we're talking about? All right. Well, let's talk about leak number one. That would be the subscription leak. Um, we've all done it. I do it. A $10 streaming service here, a $20 app there. Individually, they are harmless. Collectively, they're a monthly tax on your retirement that provides zero value for you. And it's easy to overlook those because, like, for example, I think now they even have apps that'll track all the subscriptions you have, and then they'll cancel the ones you're not using or whatever. I'm pretty sure. I'm not positive, but I know I've heard of something like that if they don't have that. But I mean, if you look at how many, like I'm surprised at how many subscriptions I have. When I look at my bank statement at the end of the month, I'm like, geez, man. But for me, it's not a personal thing, it's for a business. I have websites, um, I have this streaming service here, I have, graphic designs, things that I pay monthly for, and just things like that, and those all add up. What else do I have? I don't know, I can't think off the top of my head, but I do know, I've seen that somebody has a commercial that I've seen recently, and it's, they ask this guy, they tell the guy something along the lines of they'll give him $1,000 or $1,000,000 or whatever if he can guess correctly how many subscriptions he has. And the guy says, "Oh, I got like four or five or eight or whatever it is," and he's wrong. And that's the people selling this app. So yeah, I have seen this commercial for this app. I believe I've seen it on YouTube, as a matter of fact. Anyhow, again, you lose track. I do. I don't even know how many different apps I have. And then I'm like constantly like, wow, suddenly I get a notice that, $8 was taken out, for this. $10 was taken out for this. $15 was taken out for this. And again, that stuff all adds up, man. I don't even know how much, I'm gonna have to sit down. Maybe we'll do that next week. I'll sit down during the week, or the next episode, I should say. I'll sit down and we'll talk about, or I'll figure out how much do I have in subscriptions, just to give you an idea. And, again, it adds up. It really, really, really does. And if you imagine having that money in your pocket, that's money you could use for food, for rent, for whatever, lights, but you want to do something. Something I tell some of the people that I deal with in my bookkeeping thing is, you know, take a little notebook with you, a little, you can buy them at the drugstore or at Walmart or whatever, and just a little pad and paper, and write down everything you spend every day, and do that for a week or two, and you'll be amazed. And I'm talking about everything. I don't care if you're buying a stamp, you go in for coffee, you pay a toll, whatever the case might be. Write down, try it for a week and watch how much money you're spending that you don't even know you're spending every week. Having your nails done, your hair done, a haircut, the barber, whatever. Um, it's really eye opening when people do that, and I'm just throwing that out there. So again, these things are like a monthly tax on your retirement, and it's really, really not providing you any value in the long term. Um, you know, it's just not. When you get to retirement and your social security check is, 2 grand or whatever for the month, and you've got a, $1,500 rent or mortgage payment, you've got car insurance, a car pay, you're gonna wish you had that money, every little bit helps. All right, so that was leak number one. And I'm sorry I keep looking over there, but that's my clock to tell me if I am on schedule or not. So I got to go through this in the next 5 minutes. Actually, no, I'm way ahead, I believe. Yeah, I am. How do you like that? All right. The next leak, and leak number two, is an insurance mismatch. A lot of us are still paying for policies that were designed for a life that we no longer live. Now, my definition of insurance mismatch is um, keeping old insurance policies that were created for a time when you had more financial responsibilities, things like a mortgage, or you had young children. And as you age, these needs often decrease, making those same high premium policies unnecessary at this point. A clear example of this is term life insurance. the original life at age 35, you may have purchased a large life insurance policy to ensure that if something happened to you, your mortgage would be paid off and your children's college education would be covered. Okay. Again, this is not, this is more than likely not the life you live now. At age 60, your house is likely paid off. Your children are grown and they're financially independent, hopefully, and you have built up a retirement savings account. So, if you're still paying high monthly premiums for a massive payout that your family no longer needs to survive, that money is a leak too, because it could be better used for your current living, or your it could be invested somewhere. So um you know living expenses are going to, for those of you who struggle with this, it's tight every month. It is. And again, if you're paying a large premium for an insurance policy that's too much, you don't need it anymore, that money could be going into an investment. It could be going into living expenses. Some other examples of this are, high premium disability insurance. If you're retired or semi retired, you could still be paying for coverage designed to replace a full time executive salary that you no longer earn. Okay. That too, is money that could be going into living expenses or investments. Then another one is low deductible auto or home insurance. When you were younger with less savings, a 250 deductible was a safety net. After 55, if you have an emergency fund, switching to a $1,000 deductible can significantly lower your premiums without putting your stability at risk. If your insurance hasn't evolved as your life has simplified, you're likely overinsured in the wrong areas and draining cash every month that, like I said, could be going into living expenses or um, investments of some kind. All right. And now leak number three. And this one is kind of, this one touches on an emotional level. Uh, okay. I'm trying to figure out this clock. I'm sorry. It's a countdown clock, but I'm not sure. I got to get a better clock. That's all. All right. Anyways, the third leak is, like I said, this one kind of touches an emotional level, and I'm going to tiptoe around this one gingerly. This is the silent family bank. And like I said, this one is emotional. Helping adult children is an act of love, but when it becomes a regular, unmanaged obligation, it becomes a leak. Helping family shouldn't mean hurting your own future. Okay. And I'm gonna kind of just leave that at there. I mean, some people um y- again, I'm just gonna leave that where it is, because now you're dealing in people's families, and I don't know the structure of your family. I don't know the ins and outs of anybody's family for that matter. And it would be, disingenuous of me to sit here and say you should or shouldn't do this. I am just saying you need to, look at your own situation, your own family. And I mean, if you see that, it's something that could be improved perhaps or whatever, then maybe that's an area to look into. Um, again, I'm just gonna leave that as it is. I'm not gonna get in, I'm not gonna stir up a hornet's nest with that one. But anyways, financial stability is not selfish, it's responsible. And you don't need a complex Wall Street strategy to find peace. You just need to plug the leaks. Okay. And again, if there's anyone in the chat, um, what rings true, which of those three rings truest for you? And even if you're not here live, you can let me know in the comments. Okay. I'm still running early, I believe. So, let me just take a quick gander at something here. Hold on a minute. Bear with me. There was something I wanted to say and I forgot now, and I wrote it down somewhere. That's what I'm looking for. Oh, okay. No, that's not it. That is not it at all. Uh, I could have sworn it was right here, but apparently I am mistaken. Okay. Yes, I am mistaken. So, all right, let's get back to where was I? Let's get back to brass tacks here. And again, I wanted to take a second to thank you if you're here live or if you are watching this on the replay. I appreciate it. And, you know, like, comment, whatever, it helps the algorithm and it gets the message out like we have in the past with the regular videos that I did. Okay. All right. So now let's look at a headline that's been making waves this week. And I read about this the other day and it said that a lot of older adults are walking away from miracle weight loss drugs. Now that kind of sounds counterintuitive. You know, if they work, why would you stop? But for the 55 plus community, oh, I'm way ahead of. Sorry, I just looked at a different clock. I am way ahead of where I should be right now. Okay, we may have to do tricks or something for a little bit. No. Um, yeah, hold on a minute, because just for that, I'm going to go back and look for that thing that I wrote down that I wanted to say, but I didn't, because I know it's in here. I just can't find it. Sorry, I don't mean to have the dead air or anything. There it is. All right. One of the things I wanted to say is when it comes to money right now, what stresses you out more? And you can type either A or B in the chat. And A would be monthly cash flow. In other words, money for things like bills, groceries, utilities, and surprise things that pop up. Or B, which is long term worries like your retirement, your health care, or running out of money um, before the end of the road, so to speak. And there's no right answer to that. I just want to know where your head is at. So again, if you're here live, answer in the chat A or B. A would be monthly cash flow, or B is long-term worries. As far as which one of those stresses you out more. Okay. And again, even if you aren't watching live, you can leave it in the comments of this video and just so you know, the interesting part about when I ask that question is most people don't just pick one. And that tells me something important. It says that financial stress after 55 isn't about one big problem, it's about pressure stacking up over time. And, that's again why we structured the show that the way that we did with health, wealth, and headlines, which all feed into each other. Okay. All right. So that said, let me get back to what we were working on a moment ago, and that was we were talking about the weight loss. People are walking away from the weight loss drugs. And again, this is something I read. I don't know, remember where I read it, but I read it. I think it was in AMAC where I read it. Anyways, nonetheless, finally, you know, um, why are older adults walking away from quote unquote miracle weight drugs or weight loss drugs? And like I said before, it sounds counterintuitive, when you think about it, because if they worked, why would you want to stop? But for the 55 plus community, the math is a lot different. Okay. First, there's what I call the quality of life tax. Um, you know, if the weight is coming off, but you're constantly nauseous or you're fatigued, or anything else, sore, whatever, is that really a win? Is it? Well, I mean, think about that. At this stage of life, this stage of the game, our time and our well feeling are our most precious commodities, and they are. I remember when I was a little kid, I remember the adults used to say, "Oh, I wish him a lot of health or whatever." And even my mom and dad used to say to me, "Oh, you don't know what a blessing it is to be healthy and everything." And I used to think because I was healthy, most kids are pretty healthy. Not all of them, I get that, but most kids are healthy, and you just take that for granted. And I know I certainly did. And now that I'm in the twilight zone here, um, you get to see that, even if you were healthy all your life, you don't heal as quick. You get sore a lot easier. Things tire you out that didn't used to tire you out. You can't stay out all night and then go to work at 7 o'clock like you used to do. It's just the way it is. And so when you're feeling crappy on top of that, especially if you get sick, you get a cold or a flu or a couple years ago when COVID was going around, I got that. I'm sure a lot of people did. It's horrible, to when you're sick and you recognize it. At least I do, and I'm sure I'm not alone. You recognize that what a blessing health is or good health is. It's true. And like I say, I think back on when I was little and my mom and dad used to tell me, oh, you don't know how lucky you are to be healthy. And they were right. But at the time, like I said, I didn't think much of it because, I was a kid, I was young, I was stupid. Like most kids are, they think they know everything when in reality they know nothing or very little. Um, so yeah, now I can appreciate that a lot. And I work on trying to stay healthy and feel good. So again, if you're taking these drugs like Ozempic, I guess it is, and whatever else is out there to lose weight, these miracle weight loss drugs, and then, the side effects got you feeling like crap, you know, is it really a win? I mean, personally, I would rather do it the way that the good Lord intended us to do it, is to eat right and move. You know, I remember when I went into the military, everybody, if you've ever been in the military or people that have been in the military, when they go in, they look like something. And then when they come out of boot camp, they're totally different, physically. And that's because they whip you into shape and they watch what you eat and you're exercising constantly, meaning you're moving constantly. And that's what it takes. Watch how much you're putting into your mouth and how much, energy you're expelling. And if you can control that, you pretty much, got a lid on weight loss. And the diet industry, like I've said in the past, is a $1 billion+ industry every year, and they're selling you all kinds of diets. Eat this, don't eat that, do this, lose 50 pounds in a week. What all this stupid stuff. And people, they do that because people fall for it. And people like, oh yeah, I'm going to do that. And one of the reasons I thought this was timely, this topic, is because today is January 6th. It's the beginning of the year. This is when all the gyms are filled up now with all new members and stuff. And we have all seen this in our lifetime. Um, how many times have we ourselves done that? Well, it's the beginning of the year, New Year's resolution. I'm going to lose 20 pounds. I'm going to do this. I'm going to, work out every day, and then a month or two later, it's gone by the wayside. And that's why I kind of, the last 3 or 4 video episodes that I did prior to this live one was about, your metabolism. It's different once you hit like 50, 55, even younger than that. You realize you're losing your metabolism is kind of, getting, I can't think of the word. Um, it's losing its production rate or whatever. At like something like 30% a decade, or 20% a decade, something like that. I'd have to look that up again. But every decade you're losing 7, 10, 15% of your the hormones that are helping you, build energy and all that, and it's storing it into fat because you're slowing down and you're not moving as much. And when you don't move as much, your cells think, okay, well, we have all this food or whatever, all this protein and everything into the um into our little power plants, our mitochondria. But now what do we do with it? Well, if you're not moving, it says, okay, well, we don't need it for muscle. We just, we should store it in case we're going to starve. So we store it as fat, and that becomes visceral fat, which is the fat around your midsection. And, again, I am not pointing a finger at anybody. I'm saying this is the normal progression of what happens. And we need to counter effect that. We need to reframe the way we think about it rather than sit here and say, oh, I am going to do a New Year's resolution. I'm going to go to the gym every day. I'm going to, pound out this, that, the other thing. I'm going to run. I'm going to walk. I'm going to jump rope. I'm going to do whatever. And it's not about killing yourself once you hit this age. It's about movement, and it's about being consistent, and the frequency. I've said in the past, if you're somebody who isn't that mobile, you can certainly still do things in your own home. You can, lean on your counter, put your feet 2 or 3 feet behind, where the cabinets are, and lean on the counter with your hands, the palms of your hands, like by the kitchen sink, for example, and then kind of sort of do a push up, do 10 of those, then stand up, rock back and forth on your feet, on your heels, on your toes, on the balls of your feet, rock back and forth. Go back to doing 10 more of those little countertop push-up things. Stretch your arms out, move your neck, stretch your neck. I don't know. When we were younger, in elementary school, they used to make us do stuff like that for recess before we started working out. I mean, not working out, before we started playing. And they'd have us stretch out, and I used to think it was stupid, but I do it, because what the heck, it meant, the sooner we got through this, the sooner we could play. So yeah, it was a fun time, and it was a fun thing, but those are all things that are making you move now, and the more you move, the more you're gonna start changing the way your metabolism is. It's gonna sit there and say, yo, wait a minute, we're building a little bit of muscle here, so we got to take some of this, instead of putting this in the fat storage, we got to put this in the muscle. And again, I'm not saying you should come out of there like, what's his face, um, the Terminator guy, well, Arnold Schwarzenegger. I couldn't think of his name. When he was in his prime. I'm not saying you should come out of the gym like that, that's not what it's about at this stage of the game. It's not about being a hunk on the beach or anything like that. It's about being tight, feeling good. And like I said, it's reframing the way we think. Um, Little things done consistently have big results. They do. And so that's the message for that. Okay. And again, why would you do the drugs or whatever? I've had a beef with the pharmaceutical industry for a long time. And, my take on them is they are not doing anything to help. They're not doing they're in business to keep you sick, basically. They are. Because if you get well, for example, I've said this and people know this who've watched me before. I've said it and it's no secret. I have COPD. Okay. Yes, I have inhalers and all that stuff, and those are the treatments. And sooner or later they're going to tell me I need oxygen or whatever. And none of those things are really curing me. They're just keeping me, in check or whatever, and it's more money for them, the more inhalers I got. But, that's what I said before. That's when I started getting into the natural medicine and all that. And there's a lot of things I can do, um, on my own without pharmaceuticals that are certainly helping and working, and I've started doing a lot of that. Hydration, I've said that, all along. That's something I'm terrible at, but I've started doing that as well. That helps, everybody probably who does drink water is probably sitting there going, duh, you know, but that's just now, sinking in that, hey, maybe you should be drinking some water. And, it does help because I do feel it when I feel different. I feel better when I've drank water and stuff and hydrated and moved. And I think I told the story a week or two ago of how, just little things like, I go to the grocery store instead of parking up front like I normally do, as close to the door as I can. Now I'm parking, three-quarters of the way down the parking lot, working my way towards the end of the parking lot, just so that I can walk and exercise and breathe. And it's all about feeling better. So another thing about this thing is, as far as a lot of seniors are dumping the Ozempic and stuff is muscle preservation. Like I was just saying, for us, muscle isn't about looking good at the beach, and it's not. It's about balance. Okay, it's about staying off the floor. Again, there was a couple months back, 4 or 5 months ago. I think I told, and then there is an episode where I did a fall prevention thing. It was the week before I did that fall prevention thing, where I personally fell. And, I was on the floor. And that's why I did the episode about not falling or trying not to fall or doing things so you wouldn't fall so easily. So, that's kind of what the muscle and all this is for. It's about keeping your balance. It's about staying off the floor. It's about independence. Rapid weight loss can often mean rapid muscle loss, and that increases your risk of falls. Okay. Um, so I'm sorry, I keep banging into this microphone. I don't mean to. Um, it's just, jeeps. I'm way ahead of my time, but I'm gonna stretch this out. Uh, again, the movement and all that is the way to go. I'm convinced. And I mean, again, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a medical professional of any sort. It's just these are things I've learned on my own, that I've experienced, that I've researched, and I'm sharing it with you guys. Um, the shift that we're seeing is a move away from the number on the scale and toward long-term livability. And that's what I meant before when I said we need to reframe our thinking. instead of looking at, oh, I'm 200 pounds on the scale, yeah, that's a number on the scale, but how are you feeling? How do you think your long-term livability is? If you move, if you're starting to eat healthy, if you're drinking water, things, all those things that are good for you, you're probably adding, if minutes, if not hours, to your life. A long time ago, I heard, um, for every cigarette that you smoke, you cut your life by 7 minutes. I don't know if that's true or not. That was something I heard a long, 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 long time ago when I was a kid, when we were taking classes in school of not to smoke because smoking was bad for you. And this was before, I went to a religious school, so this was before, the mainstream, said that smoking was bad for you. Back then, doctors smoked, people in hospitals smoked. There were smoking, things in the hospitals. There were. I still remember being in the hospital to visit my mom after she had surgery, and there was people smoking. Doctors were smoking. People smoked on TV. And, again, I'm sure a lot of you remember that. You know that I'm not just making that up. But anyways, there was a thing, like I said, that they had this little doll thing that they made that hooked, that they could make that thing smoke, and they had tubes on, clear tubing, inside of it, in its lungs, and they showed you its lungs after it smoked like 2 cigarettes or 5 cigarettes or 10 cigarette, whatever, and it was pretty cool. I still remember that, but that was when they told us, for every cigarette that you smoke, essentially you're taking something like 7 minutes off of your life. I think it was 7 minutes. And if you think about somebody who smoked for like 30, 40 years, man, you've knocked off a significant, if that's true, you've knocked off a significant, portion of your life, that you've robbed your family of, yourself, people that know you, that love you, whatever. And it's pretty, astounding, if like I said, if that is true. I don't know if that's true or not. I'm assuming it is because that's what they told us. But still, I know that smoking is not good for you. It causes a lot of problems, and it is, not a good thing. But anyways, you know, we're learning that being lighter doesn't always mean being stronger. This is not about fear. This is about making an informed choice or choices based on where you are in life right now. Okay. Um, you know, it's every man for themselves, so to speak. I mean, I'm not like one of those diet people that says, yes, do this, everybody, and you'll have this result. No, everybody's different. And that's why I say, if you move, everybody was different in basic training too. Granted, we were all 18, 19, 20 years old, whatever, 17, 18, 19, and our bodies worked much different than they do now. However, essentially, I believe that they're still the same. If you stuff your face and don't move, you are going to become large. You will. I mean, you know, that's just the way it is. Um, and if you, watch what you're eating, eat a little more healthy, and you move around, um, I think you're going to fare much better. I mean, it just stands to reason. It's logic. All right. Um, Look at that. I'm down to 15 more minutes. Yeah, I definitely got to get a different timer because that one was not working for me. You know what it is? It's going backwards, and I think I need one that goes forward so I know. Because essentially, each one of these segments was supposed to be about 20 minutes. This last one, right now, the headlines one that I'm on, I've stretched this one out for at least 20 minutes now, I believe. But, anyways, okay. You know, that's pretty much going to do it for this episode. This is my first live episode of Life After 55, Health, Wealth, and Headlines. Um, and again, there were some technical issues in the beginning, which I apologize for. And I told you, I'm sorry, and I will learn to work this better now that I'm going to start doing this. It's like when I first started doing the videos, the regular recorded videos. I flubbed a bunch of those up too, but as time went on, I think I got better at it. And as time goes on with this, I think I will get better with this too. And especially if, once, we have people in the chat and everything now tonight, I don't know if we had anybody. I don't think we did, which is fine because we're building this, one episode at a time. So before I wrap this up for tonight, I just wanted to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. Really, thank you. This was a big nerve wracking thing for me to decide to go live and then to actually do it. Because with the recorded ones, I can edit out any flubs I have or anything. This is not so forgiving. So, and I'm sure you saw that in this episode tonight. Again, I will work on getting better at it. And hopefully, we can build a strong following here, just like we have on the regular YouTube channel. And what else did I want to say? Oh, I just really, really want to thank you. I do, and I'm very appreciative of anybody being here who was here live. I don't know if anybody popped in momentarily live, and whether you did or didn't, again, does not matter. We will build this up in time, and it'll all work out. And if you are watching this on the replay, um, hopefully it's been helpful, and I appreciate you watching it on the replay as well. And if you spend part of your evening with me, like I was just saying, live or on the replay, it really means a lot. Um, Again, this show is brand new in this format, and it's being built one conversation at a time. Life after 55, health, wealth, and headlines is about creating a calm, a thoughtful place to talk about the things that really affect us at this stage of life. And, that means talking about it without the hype, without the fear, and without being talked down to. I mean, basically, I'm trying to just have a conversation with everybody. And hopefully, as the chat starts building up in future episodes, we will have a back and forth. If you are in the chat, you can talk to me directly from the chat. All right. And again, if tonight was helpful, here's how you can support what we're building, and it really, really does make a difference. Please like the video, leave a comment, even if you just say hello. It helps with the algorithm to get this out. It helps to grow the channel. And, again, you're like and getting the algorithm to display this to more people. You might just be working on a part of a miracle that's somebody needs to hear something that was in here, and it gets to them because of your like or because of your comment. Again, I don't know, but it's possible. And so, if you wouldn't mind, just say hello, or give it a like, share it with somebody who might benefit from these conversations. Share the channel. Okay. And I'm also we're building this out on this community on other platforms as well. We have a Facebook page that we built I don't know, a week or so ago. That page is called, hang on, let me see. This is the page on Facebook. Okay. Let me see here. Yeah, so that's the page on Facebook. And, once we reach 100 followers there, we will be able to start broadcasting live there as well, which gives people more ways to join us where they're comfortable. A lot of people may not be comfortable on YouTube. And eventually we're going to be on X as well. A lot of people probably aren't comfortable there, and Facebook might be their thing. So if Facebook is your preferred place to watch and connect, I'd really appreciate you following the page over there on Facebook. Okay. Uh, on X, which is formerly Twitter, that's our address over there at 55 or at Life After 55 Live. Um, give that a like, give that a follow over there. All of this helps us get the word out and get this show, the momentum going on this show. Okay. And you could be a big part of that in the beginning on the ground floor. Um, all right. And, also on X, that's where I'm going to be posting updates, reminders, and clips from from any previous show, including this one. So you can follow us there, like I just displayed over there. It's at Life After 55 Live. Okay, and let me just show you that one more time. That's again, that's our address on X, and it's at Life After 55 Live. So if you type that into your browser, you will find us over there on X. And again, that is where we post, or I post updates on the show, the upcoming show, anything of newsworthy, noteworthy in the meantime. So you can look for stuff over there and stay up to date on things over there, what's going on with us. All right, we're getting down to the nitty gritty now. So none of this is about numbers for just for the sake of numbers. It's about building a steady, supportive community, and that only happens when people participate. All right. So our next episode is going to be our next live episode is going to be, and by the way, they're all going to be live from here on out. So the next live episode is going to be on Tuesday, January 20th. And that's going to be at 7 p.m. Eastern. They're all going to be at 7 p.m. Eastern time. And we are going to be back at that point with another health, wealth, and headlines conversation. And I will tease this much right now. We're going to dig deeper into practical ways to protect your energy and your finances and your peace of mind as we move through this stage of life. So, if you are over 55 or getting close, and you want clarity instead of chaos, I hope you will join us again. Again, thank you for being here tonight. And one other quick thing, I am also looking for guests. If you would like to be a guest on the show, if you have an expertise with anything health related, anything wealth related, retirement related, social security, anything like that, or just headlines that you'd like to come on and share, you're more than welcome. You can email me. Um, Let me see the email. What did I do with the email? I just lost the email. Oh, there it is. There's the email. Okay, you can send me an email right there, or you can hit me up, I guess, on X. I'll get it there if you DM me there, or even on Facebook if you go to the Facebook page. But yeah, and we are also looking for a female co-host. If you think you would gel with me on this show, and um, let me know. Do a quick 2-minute video. Send that to the same email address here. If you're between 40 and 65, and you would benefit this show, then by all means, do a quick 2-minute video and tell me basically your age range, just the decade. You don't need to say I'm 41 or I'm 43 or I'm 51, or you'd say I'm in my 50s. And then, give me one or two sentences as why you want to do it and why you think you'd be good for it. And we'll go from there. Okay. All right. So again, thank you for being here tonight. I really do appreciate it. And even if you weren't here and you're watching the replay of this, I'm thankful for that as well. So I want you all to take care of yourself. And um, I will be back on the 20th. Okay. Let me see. Let me just see. Yeah, I'll see you on the 20th. Okay. Again, that's January 20th, and it's at 7 p.m. Eastern time. And I still have 4 minutes left to make up the 6 minute or the 60 minutes. See, now it's easy, but I got to change the clock so it goes the other way instead of counting backwards, counting forward. That way I'll know where I'm at. Because this totally confused me. It did. I'm not going to lie. But anyways, hopefully you had fun. I did, and you know, hopefully you don't hold it against me. Okay. And again, I wish you all the best. I hope you're going to be here again, and we start making a habit of this every other week. Again, it's just for 1 hour every other week. The other thing too is now that I'm looking at that email address up there, if you guys have something you want me to talk about, and you're too shy to do it in the chat, then you can email me that. And, I'll take everything under consideration with that too. Okay. All right. So that should do it. Excuse me. Again, thank you. Thank you for being here tonight. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you for watching the replay if that's what you were doing. And hopefully you'll be here live next time. Again, the next time is January 20th at 7 p.m. Eastern. And don't forget about the Facebook page. We need to build that up so we can start broadcasting over there too. Okay. Facebook page, co host, female co host, and a guest spot. If you are somebody who works in senior stuff, um, you know, let me know and we will do it. And the other thing is, I've got other things planned too. I've got some things planned for real estate, some tax things, some tax tips. I'm also working on a course that we're going to talk about down the road. About people that have acquired or accumulated some wealth, how they can pass that on to their heirs without taking a big hit, and things like that. People that own some real estate, people that own, I don't know, the businesses and things that are, whatever, that you don't want to give it all to the government. You don't want the government to be the IRS to be your silent partner, so to speak. But anyways, I'm building a course about that. So we'll talk about that down the road. I don't know if it'll be next episode or the one after that, but there are also other things, again, building the home apothecary we did as far as the health thing goes. So we're going to have all kinds of fun stuff like that to do. Okay. But you need to be here to appreciate it and to learn from it. Okay. Okay. That is enough of my babbling. And we're down to 2 minutes, just under 2 minutes. So I am going to let everybody go. Thank you for being here. Again, please like, share, comment. It helps us to grow. And that's what we're here for. We want to grow. Okay. All right. Thank you again. And you all have a good night. And I will see everybody here on the 20th. Promise. Pinky promise. All right. Thank you. Take care. Bye bye.